achievement gap is one of those loaded expressions that has become part of our everyday language. In the U.S., the achievement gap refers to a gap in academic achievement, often measured by standardized test scores, high school graduation, and college completion rates.
This is your MCA. This is the test that will determine whether you graduate in a week or not. Now, people, I hope you studied up because this test will cover everything from kindergarten to yesterday. So, write your name on the top of the page, date, number 2 pencil only, and begin.
Every 26 seconds, a student drops out of high school. A dropout is 5 to 8 times more likely to be incarcerated than a college graduate. Only 50% of African American students and 56% of Hispanic students graduate from high school. Leading researchers have called the achievement gap the economic equivalent of a permanent recession.
Like there are very few African American males inside of upper level classes. If you want to find them, they're mostly in detention, in jail. There's, it's hard to assist and understand what's going on with these young men, but everybody's discussing it and talking about the achievement gap.
All right, 3, 2, 1, slideshow ended, go.
In St. Paul, Minnesota, the National Youth Leadership Council has been inspired by a local youth-led after-school program called Seeds of Change. The program, for African American males and their allies, uses a mix of mentoring, homework help, and the arts to achieve its goals.
I think it's so important when you're talking about the achievement gap to ask the achievement gap, what are their lives about? Not having fathers in their life, how does that affect them? How many kids they take care of? That they work jobs and give their moms part of their paycheck. Falling behind earlier on in elementary school, being placed in certain classes, teachers not having certain expectations of you, being the clown in class, going on to IB Quest classes and losing all your friends because you're with a whole different group of people. These are some of the questions I'd like you to ask them about because I think they can articulate it really well.
What leads to it is a failure to communicate. Students don't always understand that they're doing wrong, and if they do, it's generally because they don't care anymore, because they have had such a difficult time communicating with teachers. And so that just creates a barrier in between the two of you to where you can't even get your education. You can't, well, you can, it's just a lot harder.
Across the river in Minneapolis, a student-run newspaper has been a catalyst for increasing awareness about the achievement gap, district-wide. After attending an NYLC training, 2 youth editors persuaded their colleagues to dedicate an issue of the paper to educational inequity, using poetry, research, and personal stories to reflect on youth experiences of the gap.
It was interesting when we first brought the issue of the achievement gap to the youth editorial board at Chinon, and we did kind of a training, but then we also looked at statistics from our district, and we looked at, what ethnicities and races are making adequate yearly progress every year at the different schools. We're from the same city and the same district, and we have really vastly different experiences within our high schools, and that we're not really getting the same education.
This really opened my eyes to everything. Like right after I wrote my my article, just things started popping up on the the radio. Teachers started talking about it more. I started hearing it through family, adults, friends.
My article was like how immigrant students go through a lot of struggle to get used to a new lifestyle up here. They have a lot of struggle with their school and getting to know new people, and also on their education, all that.
It's easy to just dismiss it as well, it's their problem that they're not succeeding. And, good luck to them in life if they're not trying and they're not getting an A. What can I do? And I think realizing that it's a bigger problem than just, one kid not doing well in the class.
For kids who are achieving, to take the extra step and, going over the line and, reaching your hand out to people who aren't, and, making it less uncomfortable to talk about situations, that have to do with race or academics or anything, but, just, making it so, there's something in between the gap, and making sure you're in between the gap.
In both programs, students who might be considered candidates for the gap are leading change, and adults serving as their allies are helping create safe spaces for these actions. In programs like these, real change occurs.
It's all about the ability to be able to relate to the kids, and I think that matters so much. If you've seen somebody with a nice suit on walk in here and try to teach a SEEDS class, they probably wouldn't connect as well. It's the ability to relate to the kids, which is key, and that's, youth leading youth right there.
NYLC offers training and resources for young people to take leadership in addressing this issue. These are your schools. Keep the dialogue going. Bridge the gap.